Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. Here is the Z107.7 local news for Thursday, March 6th, 2025. The man arrested on suspicion of killing his 21-year-old wife in January is due back in court this morning for an early disposition hearing. Carlos Zamudio, a 23-year-old resident of 29 Palms, is accused of killing his wife, Savannah Enke. She was declared dead at High Desert Medical Center in Joshua Tree on the morning of January 5th. Homicide detectives with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department say that Zamudio brought Enke into the hospital for severe injuries. Enke succumbed to her injuries, and detectives determined that Zamudio was responsible for them. He was arrested at the hospital a short time later. Zamudio has been arraigned on one charge of murder and an enhancement for using a deadly weapon. He has pled not guilty and denied the enhancement. He is currently being held on $1,005,000 bail. The Western Joshua Tree Conservation Plan is holding a virtual public workshop on Monday, and at this week's most recent Yucca Valley Town Council meeting, an update on how that plan could affect Yucca Valley residents has members of the Town Council encouraging residents to show up and provide their feedback.
At Tuesday's Yucca Valley Town Council meeting, Deputy Manager Shane Stuckel presented an update on the Western Joshua Tree Conservation Act, as well as the potential costs a civil engineering consulting firm says the plan could cost property owners. As the proposed plan stands now, mitigation fees would be charged if a property owner wanted to do improvements such as replacement of a septic, connection to a sewer system, or any other, quote, ground disturbance within 50 feet of a Western Joshua Tree. Stuckel says the 50-foot buffer zone includes neighboring properties as well. The town of Yucca Valley requested 3 reports on the potential costs of improvements on example properties in Yucca Valley. One example property on Amador was presented as a typical Yucca Valley home that had approximately 74 individual Western Joshua trees on it. The estimated fee amount that would be issued by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife as the act stands today would be $46,700, according to Coachella-based civil engineering firm MSA Consulting. The fee amount was estimated through, quote, an approximate count and height of Western Joshua trees observed from the street from what the firm calls right-of-way photography. The update provided to the council also referred to the weeks or months that a Western Joshua Tree take permit could add to a potential project. During the business development update, Stuckel says that some businesses, such as the Southern Oregon-based coffee retailer Dutch Brothers, are currently in a holding pattern as the site for their new build has Western Joshua trees within that 50-foot buffer. The Western Joshua Tree Conservation Plan is expected to be implemented by June, and the first in what is expected to be a series of feedback sessions is taking place this Monday, March 10th. Yucca Valley Town staff and council members encourage residents who are concerned about the potential impacts to show up and provide feedback. The town is presenting its own letter to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife with its concerns, and Stuckel referred to the possibility of the town taking on some of the burden for property owners through a town-wide take permit that could potentially save property owners and developers time, but the cost for developing near the threatened species still sits with the CDFW. You can see this story on our website for links to the property analysis examples commissioned by the town, the letter they're sending to the CDFW, as well as more details on the town's response to the Western Joshua Tree Conservation Act and the proposed plan. That's all at Z107.7fm.com. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
The 29 Palms Parks and Recreation Program has received a grant from Nike and the National Recreation and Park Association's Gender Equity in Youth Sport Community Park Association. The grant will provide funding to increase access and participation for girls in sports throughout 29 Palms. As part of the grant program, 29 Palms Parks and Recreation will partner with Girls on the Run Inland Empire, a 10-week program that will train girls for a 5K event. Registration is open now for girls in grades 3 to 5 to participate in the signature Girls on the Run program, and for girls in grades 6 through 8 to participate in the Heart and Soul program. These programs begin March 11th at Lucky Park. The program fee for the season is $55, which is a discounted rate thanks to the grant funding received from the NRPA and Nike. The town of Yucca Valley and the Morongo Basin Healthcare District are currently seeking vendors for their upcoming Community Health and Resource Fair. Set for May 3rd, the fair features agencies and organizations who have resources that benefit the community. No sales are permitted at the event. If you or your organization are eager to apply, you can visit morongobasinhealth.org or call 760-366-1546. The deadline to apply is April 11th. The 29 Palms High School Hall of Fame Committee is now accepting nominations for candidates for their next induction ceremony. To qualify for induction into the Hall of Fame, the candidate must be a graduate of 29 Palms High School from at least 5 years ago, be a role model for students, and be available for the induction ceremony unless the award is posthumous. Anyone may submit a nomination, and they're due March 21st. Nomination forms are available in the front office or at a link in this story at Z107.7 FM.com. Theater 29's production of Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire had its opening night last Friday in front of a packed house. Reporter Gabriel Hart was in attendance and has this review of the iconic play.
In sync with this week's Mardi Gras 2025, Streetcar's French Quarter setting was met with further regional-specific sensory accompaniment of Cajun gumbo and beignets, provided by 29 Palms Rotary Club, the opening night sponsors. Once the lights dimmed, the Big Easy ambiance continued with balcony horn and vocal serenade by Matthew Bennett, principal trumpeter of the Joshua Tree Philharmonic and dead ringer for Chet Baker, before the ensemble cast gathered to create the rowdy atmosphere of the Toulouse street's fringe inhabitants. Originally performed in New Haven, Connecticut before its Broadway run in 1947, Williams' brutal and brittle story was adapted to screen in 1951 by Elia Kazan, starring Marlon Brando as Stanley Kowalski, Kim Hunter as Stella Kowalski, and Vivian Lee as Stella's wayward sister Blanche Dubois, the later who imposes into the Kowalskis' already cramped two-room apartment, stirring a dynamic maelstrom of brimming sexuality, alcoholism, and porous suppression until the floodgates succumb to the pressure. Later, Dubois' source of trauma is revealed, yet to little sympathy and even more brutality. High desert Los Angeles performing artist Bobby Breckenridge plays Dubois, turning her character's unraveling up to 10, accentuating her myriad excesses to the fullest volume, compared to the more nuanced Dubois of the screen. Breckenridge's unique approach is a propelling strategy that proves a neck-and-neck match, with the plate-crashing tantrums of Stanley Kowalski, played by Deacon Ledges with a swaying, weighty physicality. Victoria Shoup, who plays Stella, nails the codependent partner of an alcoholic, toggling between cheery and abject denial before her own end-of-rope eruptions. Director Gary Daigneault says, quote, "In bringing this iconic play to life, I chose to honor the original work without being socially correct," unquote. As it is, Streetcar tackles extremely difficult topics, but with the mature freedom of the stage, Daigneault's production reveals far more detail to Dubois' trauma than the 1951 film censors had the guts to offer, and what we learn is hard to digest, but respectable in its bravery and truth to form. Theater 29's A Streetcar Named Desire runs this Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday matinee at 2:30 p.m., concluding next weekend on Sunday, March 16th. For ticket link, please visit the story at Z107.7 FM.com. Reporting for Z107.7, I'm Gabriel Hart.
And finally, springtime has come to Joshua Tree National Park with record visitation expected. The park is getting ready for the onslaught. On tomorrow's Z107.7 Up Close show, host Gary Daigneault will talk with retired park ranger Karen Davidson and National Parks Conservation Association California Desert Program Manager Luke Balsuto. They will review what park visitors need to know to make their visit safe and enjoyable, a look at features, wildlife, and desert flora. Springtime comes to the park this Friday at 10 a.m. on Z107.7, available as a podcast later on in the day. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@Z107.7fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z107.7 Local News, I'm News Director Jeff Harmatz.